now we're on step 6, coming to the final stretch here. So the next question is, what is stopping you from achieving your outcome now? List 3 to 5 things you think you lack and/or anxieties/fears related to your outcome. So let's look at the examples. This person puts down, don't know how to earn that much money. Doesn't seem realistic. Maybe my business won't grow. Okay, now let's look at the be more confident example. They put down, they're afraid of making a mistake. They're afraid of what people will think of them. They're really not sure how to be more confident. Now, this step provides tons of valuable information. First, we're able to begin to clearly see some key limiting beliefs that are holding us back. Our beliefs about ourselves and the rest of the world largely determine the limits of the results we get. Let me repeat that because it's very important. Our beliefs about ourselves and the rest of the world largely determine the limits of the results we get. So let's look at example number 2 for a moment, okay? So in example number 2, 2 key fears were identified: the fear of making a mistake and the fear of what people will think. In a matter of moments, this person has gained more insight into themselves than many people ever attain regarding their personal mental blocks. Both of these fears, while common, are both ludicrous when looked at carefully. Come on, who doesn't make mistakes? What control do you really have over what other people will think about you? And as a side note, obviously, this masks a deeper self-esteem issue as well. But the primary problem with overcoming challenges is lack of awareness. So many so-called issues simply dissolve when they're recognized and put into proper perspective. While we all intuitively know this to be true, until we take the time to examine the situation, actually put these types of fears and concerns and anxieties on paper, these types of fears are left smoldering beneath the surface. So in this example, the person could easily begin to realize that these fears are really not grounded in rational thought. One giant stride in the correct direction would then be to convert these fears into their polar opposites. So, for example, instead of being afraid of making a mistake, the person could make a new decision and begin to focus on being confident of their success. It all starts with a new decision. Well, let me slow down here because you may be thinking that this all sounds easier said than done, and I assure you it's not. I've helped plenty of other people and personally traded in plenty of fears quite easily and effectively with methods just like I'm about to describe. Instead of trying to overcome these fears, it's far more effective to focus on the positive opposite rather than trying to overcome and thereby reinforce what you do not want. Okay, so it's important to completely understand that these fears are not facts. They're just opinions, and ultimately, they're choices. So choose again. Rather than try and overcome, replace your fears with their opposites and then begin to ask yourself for reasons why the new opinion is true. You'll soon get plenty of evidence to support your new viewpoint if you do this thoroughly and sincerely. Okay? So to recap, in example 2, we said afraid of making a mistake. So first, we weaken that idea by putting it into perspective, i.e. recognizing that everybody makes mistakes and that mistakes to some extent are inevitable. Next, we ask ourselves what the opposite of that idea is. So the opposite would be something like having trust that you will deliver a good speech. As a side note, you could also ask yourself, what would give you that trust? That obviously can lead us to answers like, well, know the speech well, practice the speech, and again, learn relaxation techniques. At this point, we have clearly identified some obstacles that would need to be removed or changed in order for us to achieve our outcome. We then have the information necessary to evaluate whether we want our outcome strong enough to move forward. It's also important to point out that you would not necessarily need to work on each belief you uncover. In example 2, if you address the underlying trust and self-esteem issue, that would cover everything else since all of the reasons listed are symptomatic of the one central underlying perceived obstacle. Okay? I know that's a lot to kind of digest. Feel free to contact me with questions or post them. Please join me for the final step.